Hi everyone, John from LookSmart Home Inspections here in New Jersey, performing great home inspections throughout the state of New Jersey. Today I want to talk to you guys about what's under the house you're thinking about buying. I know that sounds like a crazy question, but it's such an important question to answer. So when you're going and you're looking at a house, you want to find out, is the house on a basement? Is the house on a crawl space? Is the house constructed on a slab? Or is the house constructed on a combination of these foundation systems? So you're probably asking yourself, why is it important for me to figure out what's under my house? Here's why. Because that's most likely where the big issues are going to be. The big issues in this house are going to be in a space that nobody has entered in 3 years, sometimes 4 years or more. People don't like going into crawl spaces. Homeowners don't like going into their own crawl spaces to see what's going on. So as a home inspector, I relish going into these crawl spaces, taking a good look, finding out what's going on, and really giving my customer the information that he or she needs to make good decisions about this home purchase. Okay, you're touring a house and you're in a basement, and the basement looks like there's less basement than the footprint of the house. Then your antenna should go up and say to yourself, hey, maybe this house is on a crawl space. Then what I want you to do is start asking some questions to the agent, and likely they're not going to know. But if the seller's there, he or she may know. But most of all, I really want you guys to take your time and start looking in the basement for any kind of doors or hatches. And sometimes they're hidden, sometimes they're behind something or furniture or pictures. I mean, I'm not telling you to go rearrange furniture in the house, but what I really want you to do, and kind of the take-home message here, is not to exit a house quickly. I want you guys not to be run out of a home that you're thinking about buying in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, just do a cursory look around. What I really want you to do is open your eyes, get a sense of what's there. This way you can relay that information to your home inspector, and he or she can kind of be prepared with where your head's at in terms of your big concerns with this property. And one of the big concerns should be what's going on in the crawl space if there is one. Sometimes these crawl spaces are challenging to find. Sometimes there's a hatch or door inside a basement. Sometimes there's a hatch or door under a deck or a porch. You really have to look closely, and sometimes they're just on the exterior of the foundation. They'll look like a small door, kind of swings out right or left, and that's the access to the crawl space. So if you see that kind of thing on a house that you're thinking about buying, you really need to ask the question, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, is this house on a crawl space? Tell me more about that foundation, and have you had any problems inside that space? And one of the things I really want to get across is that don't be afraid to open that door. Don't be afraid to stick your head in. See what's going on. Does it smell musty? Do you smell mold? Is it wet? Is it dry? Is there a dirt crawl space? Is it gravel? Is it a cement crawl space floor? What's going on in the crawl space that you can visibly see that you can relate to your home inspector? We find so many things going on wrong in these crawl spaces because they're just so neglected. So what are the problems that we find in crawl spaces? And the answer is all types of problems. For example, termite damage, carpenter ant damage. We find crawl spaces that are improperly vented. We find crawl spaces that have water infiltration, no vapor barrier, improper vapor barrier, piping issues, and especially mold problems in crawl spaces. One of the things I want you guys to ask yourselves is when you're looking at that crawl space is, can I get a tradesman in here? Can I get a contractor in this space to do the work that I need? Because eventually something's going to go wrong. A pipe's going to leak, a valve's going to leak, something will have to be done in that crawl space. And you just really want to make sure that that space is big enough for somebody to get inside and actually do the work. So if you're looking at a house and the crawl space is like 2 feet high, you really need to think to yourself, can I really realistically get somebody in there who's going to willingly go in there, and can he or she actually perform the work that will eventually need to be done? So please keep that in mind when you're thinking about buying a house on a really narrow crawl space. So the next clip is going to be of a crawl space that I saw about a week ago in a 1930s built lake house here in New Jersey. So this has a combination type of crawl space. So you walk in and it's an area that you could actually stand in. So there's a boiler and a water heater present with the electrical panel box. And then the balance of the crawl space is about 4 feet high. This is the majority of the space. Now all of the defects that I saw that are in this clip, I saw from just standing here and just perusing around the crawl space just as a cursory inspection, even before I got my crawl suit on and I entered the space and I crawled all the areas. So it just kind of goes to show you that all of these things are pretty apparent, even to a non-home inspector. So you don't have to be a home inspector to look at some of these things and to know that they are wrong. So let's take a look at the next clip. I'm going to do a voiceover on it and you can actually see what I'm talking about. Here we see some daylight visible through the right side block foundation walls of the crawl space. So through these openings, vermin, rodents, insects can enter the space. We also notice that the crawl space foundation walls are no longer true. There has been some movement which indicates maybe an underlying structural problem under the crawl space. Here we have the main support post under the main beam that is no longer properly attached to the beam. It is offset from the beam, causing a lot of deflection and springiness conditions of the flooring above. As we pan down, we're going to notice that there is no proper footing installed under the support post. The support post is just basically laying on either a stone or slate on the crawl space dirt floor, which is also improper in itself. We always want a proper footing or foundation under the main beam support post. So that's what's causing the deflection conditions and the springiness that we see inside all over the floors of this house. As we move over and look at the front of the home, we see wood-earth contact. Now the wood-earth contact is going to cause all kinds of problems as far as termites, carpenter ants, and wood rot problems. We never want to see earth in direct contact with soil because nothing good happens when we have structure in direct contact with the earth. Also, we have a dirt crawl space floor. We want to see a vapor barrier on the crawl space floor to prevent moisture traveling upwards into the crawl space, causing moisture problems and mold growth. Here again, we see that footing problem under the main support post. Now we're panning more to the right side. And what we're going to see here is some unsupported water supply pipes in the crawl space that are just hanging freely. These pipes are also uninsulated, which makes them very vulnerable to freezing and damage in the winter months. As we're moving more to the right side, we're going to see some water seepage through the foundation wall. And here we're going to see on this support post, it's what we call powder post beetle damage. I don't know if this powder post beetle damage is old or new or current. However, that is something that a professional pest inspector is going to have to determine. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention. It's one of the things that we look at doing a termite or WDI inspection in the crawl space. As we're moving down this post, we're going to also see an improper foundation or footing. We just have this main support post just laying on a block or a stone. Here, as we move to the right side, we're going to see some water seepage and clamminess through the foundation walls caused by water laying up against the right side of the foundation walls. As we're moving to the left side of the crawl space, we're going to see some amateur plumbing waste pipe work. There are improper fittings used in this waste pipe work. The pipe is just supported on stones as it enters the main waste pipe to the crawl space. The last thing I want you guys to consider when you're looking at a house is please don't get run out of that house very, very quickly. So many times I hear customers of mine, we're doing a home inspection and I say, how many times have you visited the house? And they tell me, oh, they've only visited the house, for 10 minutes and it was nighttime and, they didn't look at the attic and they didn't look at the garage. They didn't walk around to the backyard. It's really imperative that you guys take a look at all of the areas of this house. You gotta walk around the outside of this house. You have to see everything. Look into the garage if it's detached. Go to the garage, open the door, see what's going on. Go up to the attic, pull down the stairs if there's a pull down hatch. and see what's going on. Stick your head up and just get an idea of what the condition of this house is. I mean, in New Jersey, you're probably spending at least $500,000 on a house, just a regular house, not even, the Taj Mahal or anything. It's just a regular standard house, and you're dropping $500,000 in this crazy state. So please, I mean, that's a lot of money to me. It's probably a lot of money to you. Make sure you're looking at these areas just so you know what's going on. So there you have it. There's some ideas about what to look for, especially, regarding crawl spaces. So if you like the video, please hit like. If you want to subscribe, that's wonderful. Would certainly appreciate that. But most of all, when you're looking at homes, make sure to stay an empowered home buyer and keep your eyes open.